I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 213. If you don't already know, I'm Keff Ciardello, coming to you on Thursday, November 27th, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Why not? Why not do a Turkey Day podcast? Even better when we do a Mailbag Turkey Day podcast. That's right, we're calling for a mailbag mixed in with our preview of the Texas State-South Alabama game. Got a bunch of questions from you sickos out there. Really appreciate that. It covers a multitude of things. It's been a roller coaster year for Texas State football. It was the highest of highs through non-conference at 3-1, then 5 straight losses, and now 2 straight wins. Very last game, bowl eligibility on the line. The stakes couldn't be higher. Had to call for a mailbag. I wanted to hear from you. I wanted to see how everyone was feeling. It was about where I was expecting. There were some unexpected questions, but there were a lot of. I just really wanted to see where everyone's head was at, and I got a nice consensus with these questions. So I'm excited to answer those. Even have some basketball questions. Excited to talk about basketball. 6-2 start for Texas State men's basketball. I got to catch the game on Monday night at Strahan, so I'm excited to give you some analysis that I have on basketball. It's going to be a great episode, but before we get there, this episode is brought to you by TGC LLC, the GalindoCollective.com. That's Galindo, GalindoCollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com and follow their social media platforms on Twitter at TGC_LLC and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to my guy Rick Galindo, a true Texas State sicko, a Texas State grad. He's been sponsoring us for 3 seasons now, taking us all the way through this one. Is it going to be 3 for 3 bowl eligibility while we're under TGC LLC? Let's hope so. We'll find out on Saturday. Until then, check them out at thegalindocollective.com. That's Galindo, GalindoCollective.com. And of course, we have to give a nice shout out to bhihats.com. Been having it hats. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. You can see me wearing the State Script hat, the rope hat. I have been rocking it the last few episodes because my wife took the Cats by 90 hat, the Cats by 90 maroon hat. Those were hot on the streets. I've been seeing those at a lot of games. I know they've got a few more left. Get in there. If you punch in WNOGB as your promo code at the checkout, you can get 10% off. I know they're cooking up some new looks, not just different colors, different variations and styles. Going to be great. bhihats.com. Make sure you check them out. bhihats.com. All right, let's get to these Bobcats. So we're going to open it. We'll do a quick little preview of the game on Saturday. Texas State football, they are 5-6. They're taking on South Alabama. South Alabama cannot play for bowl eligibility, so they're trying to be spoiler. And you know they want to spoil the Bobcats good time. They're looking at it. They're looking at Texas State about to leave the conference, go on to the Pac-12. They want to spoil that one, so they're going to be ready. Even though Texas State, what is it? I put the number here in my notes. Yeah, 9 points Texas State is favored by in this game. Even though that's the case and South Alabama is down, as far as the season's concerned, they're down. But they've rattled off 2 in a row, similar to Texas State. This is going to be a really interesting game. We've seen it the last 2 years when it's G.J. Kinne versus Major Applewhite. We've seen these high-scoring affairs that were close. Texas State controlled them for the most part, but they were always close at the final score. So we're gonna have some fun, I feel, on Saturday. It's gonna be a really good one. I know South Alabama, they love to run the ball. Texas State, they have somewhat of a platoon of running backs with Perry and Burrell and Brad Jackson. I'd add him into the platoon, even though he's the quarterback. South Alabama, they're a one-man show with Kinne Bullock. He's got over 1,000 yards already. He's tied with Brad Jackson for the lead in rushing touchdowns with 13. So there's going to be a lot of running on Saturday, maybe a quick clock because of it. But even though it's going to be a lot of yards on the ground, or a lot of plays called on the ground, I think it's still going to be a high-scoring affair because neither defense has shown a ton. South Alabama actually has a pretty good pass defense, so that's something they're up there in Sun Belt pass efficiency, defensive efficiency during the pass game. And Texas State is number 1 in offense efficiency when it comes to passing in the Sun Belt. So that'll be an interesting battle between Brad Jackson and the DBs at South Alabama. I really, it's even though they're going to give the ball a lot to Kinne Bullock, he's going to get 20 carries a game. That's around what he's averaging, like 18 and a half, something like that. But outside of that, if they can contain him, especially what we saw from this run defense last week and what they did with ULM, specifically in the first half. ULM, they got a little more loose in the second half, but that it took a while for them to get there. And if it's really just one guy that they're having to focus on with Bullock, I'm very confident in Texas State's ability to take care of it with the defense that we saw the last couple games. You know, if that's the one that shows up where it truly is this complementary defense where it helps out this offense that we know is going to score. We know they're going to get in there and get 30 points at least. If it does actually help them out this week like it did the last 2 weeks and not like it did the previous 5 weeks, then I'm incredibly confident in Texas State. It seemed like ever since the Louisiana game, they've turned a corner, specifically at halftime of that Louisiana game. Right after that, we're seeing the Texas State defense start to buckle down and shut down some of these offenses with a multitude of schemes. We saw the 3-3-5 against Southern Miss. We saw 4-2-5 against ULM. Saw that work both weeks. So I really think that's a testament to the messaging finally getting through and guys understanding where their roles are in this defense and not relying so much on the DBs to take on a lot of the onus and responsibilities of the defense. We've seen a lot of that. We even heard that from G.J. Kinne a little bit, where he's saying that has been the major difference is they've taken a lot of pressure off of the DBs, and whether that's blitzing or what have you in some of these packages, they've helped them out a lot, and I think that's gone a long way. And I understand why in years prior they've been able to really rely on when you had guys like Joshua Eaton, when you had Chris Mills, Caleb Culp, and some of the Torrey Spears, some of these really good DBs that were here last year and the year before that aren't here anymore. You were able to lean on those guys a little bit. It's a bit of a different situation. They realized it a little late that was the situation. That's still frustrating to look at it, especially that 5-game losing streak. What transpired there was seeing what we've seen, but gets better late than never. But it's I thought that was an interesting revelation though from G.J. Kinne at this last press conference on Tuesday. If you didn't see it, I threw it up on Twitter. I know the Texas State Athletics on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can always find those press conferences on there. But yeah, I'm confident in Texas State. I feel like they turned a corner. I think they're hungry. They want that bowl eligibility. We heard from Brad Jackson at that press conference. He's the leader of the team, obviously, and this is definitely on their mind. It's something they want to do. They want to jump in that river again. We even heard from media relations that if Texas State does win the game, the press conference is going to be at the river because they plan on jumping in it again. So I know it's being taken very seriously from all those around. But all right, let's get to these questions because I would keep it in under 10 minutes before I get to questions for the preview. That's what I got for you. They're going to run the ball a lot. South Alabama is. They're going to Kinne Bullock. He's going to get his. It's just what he's done all year. He's a really good player. Ole Miss transfer. I can remember when they got him a couple years ago. Kind of been waiting for it to pop. It popped a little last year. Really a whole lot this year. He's a great looking player. So I'm excited to see him. But let's get to these questions. I got here we go. Starting off at the top, the tippy top. We're going to go with Atomic Punk, my guy. Atomic Punk. Always nice to hear from you. He's got 3 questions all in one. I appreciate it. Even spaced it out, Q1, Q2, Q3. My guy Atomic Punk on Twitter, who was really calling the plays on the defensive side the last 2 weeks. Talking about football here. Is that the key? Change in personnel on the field? I'm glad I didn't dive into this too much in the little preview area because it's great for this question. You know, we've heard from GJ Kinne when we ask, okay, who's calling the plays? What's different? He says he's had some input, but really it's still Dexter McCoyle. He's giving him credit. This is the public stance that they are taking on this whole situation. I will say privately, I have heard from, and this is, take it for what you will, but I would say pretty good sourcing, that it's Bradley Dale Pavito has taken more charge in practice. I don't know if that means that he's calling more of the plays. I would imagine that would translate to him being more involved on game day with the play calling and everything. But Bradley Dale Pavito, his role has increased, at least in practice, more recently. So I would say that has played a lot into it, specifically how different they have looked the last couple weeks. It had to have been somebody got in there and made some changes. I would say that's a whole lot of it. I mean, we heard it from GJ Kinne as well, him saying that the real emphasis has been to take a lot of the responsibility off of the defensive backs. So that's quite the change from what Dexter McCoyle has been doing since last year and into this year. So that's just what I've heard. Change in personnel, I think that matters as well too, getting to see some of these other guys in there. But really, a lot of last week it's been the same players that we've seen come out there. Maybe some of them are playing in different situations, but for the most part, it was the same squad. A lot of 4-2-5 last week against ULM. Question 2 from our guy Atomic Punk: any suggestions for the president recommendations to improve the game day experience for football? I know it's one brick at a time how they're trying to build it up, and they've done they're doing their thing, especially with audio. I know it's not perfected yet. There was a point where it was like too loud for a while, and now they're figuring out that balance with these brand new giant speakers. If you've gone to the game, you've seen them. They have the big black tarp on it with the Super Cat logo on there. If you've seen them on TV, they're at the end of the end zone, the south end zone over there by where the party porch and everything is. You can see them on the side. Those brand new speakers, because that was an issue for a long time. A big issue with the game day experience was the speakers. I think it's brick by brick. They're figuring it out. I like what they've done as far as a game operations standpoint on the football side. I want to emphasize that because I feel like there's a question I'll touch on other sports later. But where timeouts and things like that, doing stuff to entertain fans, I felt that has been done really well to enhance the experience. I've said this before, and it's probably an expensive one. It's one they couldn't just snap their fingers and do overnight, but it's one that I'm actually I would say very passionate about, but I'm pretty passionate about this one. The bleacher seats, they make your butt fall asleep. I think that's a great way to get retention. That's not going to, I don't know if there's people who are like, oh, now I'm going to go to the game because they have actual seats. I don't think that's going to draw new fans in, but it's going to keep the ones that you have staying. Because those bleachers, and I know the big donors, the big alumni get the real chairs. We've seen that on the home side over there, and I've heard Dr. Damphus say the students stand the whole game, so they don't need a chair, and that's fair, that's fine. But a lot of them do leave at halftime, and if they're a little more comfortable. Game day experience, for football, that's my biggest one. I know they're doing a promotion for this game after there wasn't a ton of fans at the last one. Still respectable, but not as what they've experienced for a good chunk of the GJ Kinne era. And they're running a promotion, $1 hot dogs at the games. A recommendation from me is, that's nice. Who's going to pass up a $1 dog? I'll probably get one myself. But, you got to lower the price of booze. Got a cheaper beer. That's what's going to get people in. I don't know if I think we're well past the days of dollar beer night, but and that might be chaos for Bobcats. But I think that's one recommendation. But I like what they did. The Spasmatics they played after the game. That's a cover band. I heard it was like a franchise cover band where it's like there's multiple Spasmatic franchises in their regions. I was like, I had no idea the Spasmatics was the whole thing. And they've done that. They've had these post-game concerts. They've done stuff like that I appreciate. I think it is brick by brick though, where it's been such an overhaul with the experience that there's a lot of things that they are checking off their list one by one. And I imagine the seats one I brought up is a ways down there, but there are a few more things that they can do. I felt they've done a good job marketing football, and we'll get to how I feel about other sports here in a second with the marketing. Q3 though, is there any truth to Coach Kinne being looked at for UNT? I'm glad we're starting right off the bat with it. That's great. If you missed it, North Texas coach Eric Morris is gone. He's off to Oklahoma State. Great choice, Oklahoma State, I have to say. I have to commend you on the choice to take North Texas's coach when they are 10-1. A little bit of this is really interesting with the parallels between G.J. Kinne and Eric Morris. Eric Morris was the head coach at Incarnate Word in 2021. He left to go be the offensive coordinator at Washington State. G.J. Kinne took over his role at Incarnate Word and did great with it. And in the same breath, Eric Morris was at Washington State. He brought Cam Ward with him from Incarnate Word to Washington State, and Cam Ward did Cam Ward things, which really helped the stock of Eric Morris as a quarterback guru, a whisperer, if you will. And both these coaches were hot on the market, hot on the G5 market, that's for sure. And both of them were up for the Texas State job. I've definitely said this story before. I apologize if you've heard it, but this is for if you haven't or if you just want a refresher. They actually interviewed both coaches, Kinne and Texas State did. They interviewed G.J. Kinne and Eric Morris. Initially, Eric Morris was offered a contract. It was the same contract that Jake Spavital had before, $800K a year, all the same specs and everything. He slid that offer back across the table and said, I'm going to need more money than the previous coach. Texas State took that offer, slid it over to G.J. Kinne. He said, I'll take that. He signed it, and boom. Texas State had their coach. After that, Eric Morris went and signed at North Texas. So it's been it's been very easy to compare those two. They both got their jump off as a head coach at the same school. 1 year after the other. They were both up for this Texas State job. They met in a bowl game last year, which was a lot of fun. Texas State did win. So technically, yeah, UNT is 10-2 on the season. I got to remind you every single time. That game was in January. They've lost to the Bobcats this year. But it's fascinating to see the parallels between them, because then you flash forward to this season. That Oklahoma State job opens up. G.J. Kinne's the hot name on the streets. It's what everybody's saying. I did a whole pod about it. There was much ado during this non-conference. This was a while ago, a couple months ago. Texas State falls on hard times. UNT takes over the nation with their scoring. Just a fun team too. It's a lot of fun to watch that. Drew Messmaker. We got to see Drew Messmaker's first game in that bowl game, his first career start. So just to see where they are, and now Morris gets the Oklahoma State job. Once again, it felt like they were both out towards the same trajectory there, and they go and take Eric Morris. Now we're going to go to, why is G.J. Kinne being rumored to take the job at UNT? Well, UNT has pledged to increase all their money all across the board, NIL resources. They even have a $3 million salary that they were wanting to apparently give to Eric Morris. Obviously, Oklahoma State's going to offer more than $3 million, so there's that. When this news goes out, reporters, they got to do their thing. You would see I only saw G.J. Kinne's name on one list, and it was at The Athletic. Chris Vanini, he put G.J. Kinne in there as a potential candidate for this UNT job, because it would be an increase in pay. if you were to do it. Now, granted, UNT would have to pay $3.5 million for the buyout. That's quite a bit for UNT. That's a big chunk of change. I think this was we see GJ Kinne rumored for that. That's the only place I've seen it. I haven't heard anything. I can't even imagine it. I can't fathom it. I'm honestly disgusted that it's even being talked about, that he would leave for UNT. I would be utterly shocked if that happened. I cannot foresee that happening at all. I understand why, if maybe outside looking in, that would be an easy name to put on that list. But that's not happening at all. That's I can't. If they're really trying to take GJ Kinne, Texas State would come back and give him a raise right away. But I'll say this part as well. Even with the $3.5 million that they would have to pay just for the right to sign GJ Kinne, I mean that alone is gonna stop them right there. And even the $3 million that they're saying that they wanted to give to Eric Morris, why are they wanting to then give it to GJ Kinne? I think that was a package that was discussed about for Eric Morris. If they're going out and offering $3 million and willing to pay $3.5 million for the buyout, I don't know. I mean, but I can't imagine GJ Kinne would want to take that. I imagine he wants to go and move to a P4 and move up and on, not to UNT. Nothing against UNT. They're doing great. They're elevating their everything about NIL and resources and all of that. They just had a coach who got hired by a P4, which makes them a desirable market for an up-and-coming coach. For me, I honestly think this is such a home run for Mac Leftwich. When we were talking about GJ Kinne to Oklahoma State before in that pod, my top two candidates for Texas State, if that were to happen, would be Mac Leftwich, the offense coordinator at Texas Tech, and I mentioned Travis Bush as well, which still looks like a pretty good one. We'll see how if he gets any looks during this crazy, chaotic coaching carousel that's about to come up. But Mac Leftwich, if he takes a head coaching job, he doesn't have a buyout. So right there, I mean, that would make Mac Leftwich cheaper. And by the way, he's also from Denton. He loves Central Texas. I know he loves this area and everything, but that matters at least some. So I mean, that feels like a home run for UNT if they try to go after Mac Leftwich. But very long-winded. I feel like I had to address that one. We're still on the very first question. I feel like I had to address that one full-throated. So there we go. But I'll wrap it up there. I do know GJ Kinne's not going to UNT. So stop it. Stop putting it in articles and things like that. It's ludicrous. It's not happening. All right. Thank you, Atomic Punk. Always great to hear from you, my guy. We'll start to lightning round it a little bit. Not fully though. Basketball question though. Love this. What would be your recommendations to improve basketball atmosphere? As much as I mentioned, Texas State does a great job of marketing football. They need to start putting some of those efforts towards basketball, men's basketball, because it's fun. It's a fun atmosphere. Yeah, they bust out the band. It's a great time when you get out there. But I'll be honest, when you're watching the game, it's a little flat from a game operations standpoint. Even like at halftime, the whole halftime show was, hey, look at the camera and dance on the Jumbotron. That was the entire halftime. And I got to say, this was TLU right before Thanksgiving. I'll reserve better judgment, and I will revise that judgment on this podcast when I see them in another game down the road. But just creating a more interactive atmosphere with the crowd. I mean, the biggest pop of the night was Who Wants a Free T-Shirt, and that was which, that's always going to get a big pop. Who doesn't want a free T-shirt? But there is, I feel like, more from the entertainment standpoint, because I remember pre-pandemic what it was like at those games. Those games were exciting. There was crowds going into the second level of the of Strahan Coliseum. So it's Strahan Arena, excuse me. Still calling it Coliseum. Been a long time since they changed it from Coliseum, since they brought the wall down. because it's such a great it's such a great facility. If imagine anybody listening to this, you've been there. If you haven't, go. It's relatively inexpensive to get into the games and everything. Just go check it out because it is great. But Bobcats are walking into a buzzsaw of a basketball conference with the Pac-12. Gonzaga, San Diego State. This is no slouches in this conference. So this is something that needs to get a lot of focus and be curated. Because I like this team. I'll get on. I know there's another one a little bit later about some of those questions. But there needs to be more marketing. There used to be more marketing around this program, and obviously the best marketing is wins. That's what you got to do. You got to win games. I also think it might need revision, the non-conference slate. Maybe try and get some sort of exciting opponent to visit. I know when it is the Pac-12, you're going to have some more exciting conference opponents, but just trying to get some. I know there was a while ago, over 10 years ago, where there was a change. There used to be non-conference scheduling of like Texas, TCU, teams like this. But then Danny Casper was like, listen, I'm trying to get to 20 wins every year. We need to schedule some easier teams. So he switched that up. That might be need to have some consideration because that'll get a crowd. Even if it's a loss, but who knows? Maybe it's an upset. And you do that in front of a home crowd. Basketball needs more care, more focus. And I feel like they know that. They're ready for that. But all right, let's keep it pushing. Great question, Clinton. Appreciate you, Clinton Cowan. Pretty sure I gave you a shout out, your name earlier. He's at Cowan C18106 on Twitter. Go find him. This one's from my guy Joel Rodriguez. What's up, Joel? Always good to hear from you. Will GJ return or does he get picked up during the coaching cycle? I have a good feeling he's going to be back. It's going to be a crazy cycle, but I have a feeling he's going to be back. I know if he wants one, he wants a P4. And I don't know if a P4 program can sell their fan base on what has transpired with him, specifically this season. But overall, yes, he has had winning seasons. Doesn't have a conference championship at Texas State. He's been hovering above 500. It's been a bit of a bit of a struggle for him, as far as I wouldn't say a struggle. That's the wrong way to put it. It's going to be harder to sell what he's doing to these P4 fan bases. They're gonna, if they're on the outside looking in, they're looking at it like, oh, it's a G5 coach coming in. He's been real up and down at Texas State, mainly up, winning record, mainly up, but it has been up and down, and that's a tough sell. So that was the first part. He's got more to it. Do we have enough cash to keep Brad Jackson, Kriston, and Bo Sparks? It's going to take a lot. We will see. I haven't seen figures. I can't tell you for sure. I can tell you they're confident, specifically in Brad Jackson. I imagine Bo Sparks looks at it. He's like, I'm the man here at Texas State. This is a pretty good situation. But the last 2 seasons, we've seen guys who did really well at receiver for Texas State, but weren't necessarily wide receiver 1, with Ashton Hawkins in 2023 and then again Cole Wilson last year. Both of them left for Baylor after that year and are having really good years at Baylor. So it will be interesting to see how if they're able to keep some of these guys. If last year told us anything, the price is really high for some of these players. Can we load up on D and make an impact in the Pac-12? Yeah, it's gonna. If you look at their recruiting class, these high school players, there's already been a pretty good focus on defense. I imagine they're going to get in the transfer portal and try and bring in some more guys. But yeah, it needs to the pass rush. I feel like really needs an increase. I haven't been totally mad at the defensive line play this season, but there is definitely a decrease in the pass rush overall. So I imagine that is something that they're going to be looking at, trying to get these edge players. But it seems like these edge players are pretty expensive. Once they have a really good year, poof, they're gone. They're off to a P4. But yeah, that's it from Joel. Appreciate you, Joel. Hope that answered your question. A lot of NIL stuff. Man, we'll see. They seem really confident. They're able to drum up so much support. It's even I was able to talk to Coach Bailiff the other day before the press conference when we were walking up, and he was talking about how they're just able to reach back out to so many big name donors for Texas State that left during the Tice era, that just had a bad taste in their mouth with where this program was. That they're able to just draw them back in and do a whole lot of good stuff with them. Okay, this next one is from Adrian Garza. What's up, Adrian? Always good to hear from you, my guy. This is from the 5-game skid. What do you expect the defense to do going into the pack? Lots of changes. Overall is what they need, I think. Does coaching need to change? Possibly. Does a scheme need to change? DNs were 230 to 245 pounds-ish compared to 23 and 24 where they were more 240 to 275. Big drop in size just at the end. I was talking about how pass rush and edge was a hot commodity in the transfer portal. It just feels like, obviously, quarterbacks, that's going to warrant the biggest price tag out there. But a pass rush and a big offensive lineman, we saw Alex Harkey get scooped up as well for some money to Oregon. We think stopping the pass rush and getting a pass rush is right next on the list after quarterbacks. So it's been harder for them to get some of these edge players out there, especially in the transfer portal. It's like, you either have to find some diamonds in the rough. They will do a pretty good job getting guys like Kennard Snyder. We've seen him out there, number 12, some good value. Players played in the Sun Belt before, but it's going to be harder. We're probably going to see more FCS, more JUCO when it comes to transfer portal on those edge players, because they are a hot commodity. But as far as the defense, what it needs, it needs a total overhaul. The offense doesn't need any changes. Offense is great. The offense needs retention. If anything, they need to keep a lot of those players. The defense needs a facelift for sure, and whether that it comes in the form of Dexter McCoyle being moved off of defensive coordinator into another position or off the staff, who knows what they're thinking about that whole situation. But yeah, defense definitely needs to be changed, and I anticipate changes in the offseason. You can kind of just feel it that what happened, especially in that 5-game losing streak, that's pretty unacceptable defensively, what transpired. So going to see a lot of changes, I feel. But appreciate you, Adrian. Always nice to hear from you, my guy. This one's from Baseball Nut, my guy Baseball Nut. What's up, man? Always good to hear from you. Basketball question. What is the chance that Coach Antoine survives? Women's basketball question. Do you think her contract will be extended? Coach Z's been here a long time. We've seen bad seasons, and we've seen her able to recover from those bad seasons. I think she's built up a lot of equity with this administration in her time here. But even that being said, basketball is going to be is going onto a different level with the Pac-12, and they are it's on high alert as far as what these teams look like and what that's going to be presented as in the Pac-12, because it's going to be different right now for the Sun Belt. Basketball is, for the most part, an afterthought, and baseball, softball are the ones that are marketed and thought about and curated more. That's not going to be the deal in the Pac-12 as much. I mean, you even see it in the media rights package, which I know we have a question on coming up, which I prepared for a little bit. That baseball isn't even really being talked about in these media deals. It's football and men's and women's basketball. So they're going to have to turn it around and stave off those questions. But I think everyone's on high alert, not just TJ on the men's side. He also asked, did Keff Jr. punch any holes in the wall while watching the Bobcats this season? No, Keff Jr. Madden. It's my son. His name's Madden. He's just over a year and a half now. He's destroying everything in sight. He hasn't punched any holes in the wall yet. He's not quite strong enough, but give him time. I'm sure there will be a hole in my wall from that guy soon enough. But you fold some laundry around him, he's going to tear it down. He sees his toys around, he's going to go right for him and spread them all over the house. He's a good time, though. Shout out to Madden and my daughter, Jade. She just turned 3 in October. we've got our hands full in this house. They're sleeping though, which is fantastic. I'm getting a lot more sleep. Feels great. That's what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving. My kids. How about that? Thanks for asking about them, Baseball Nut. This one coming up. This dude 666. My guy, what's up? How you doing? The 666 is for San Marcos's 78666 code. Just so you know, just in case you're wondering about our good buddy here. When are they getting rid of Dex? LOL. He even hit it with an LOL at the end. Who knows if they are? I mean, GJ and Dexter McCoy go back to Tulsa days. Dex is still really new in his coaching career. He's brand new. Maybe he was moved to DC a little too quick in his career, and he needs to learn more, get more experience in other places where I don't know what they're thinking about doing. I don't know if he's already somewhat of a co-DC with Bradley Dale Pavito. I say kind of, but that's their titles and everything. But it just felt like that Dexter was promoted as the head DC, or not promoted, but marketed as the head DC and everything. So it would be interesting to see what they do if you can move him into another position or anything. But who knows? They might not get rid of him. I think we're going to see a different defensive coordinator next year. But maybe Dex sticks around. I don't know exactly how that works. All right, here we go. Basketball question. Men's basketball 6-2. Are you buying or are you selling? Now this is great. I think this is a great way to phrase this question, because I'm going to buy, but I'm going to be very, very timid, because this is the most excited I've been about a Texas State basketball team in 3 seasons. I think they are bigger. They are more fundamentally sound. I think they are defensively aggressive. And I mentioned bigger. I said that at the beginning, right? They are bigger. They are much bigger in the paint. They have guys who are 6'8", 6'9", multiple guys who are that size. Yeah, they're a pretty guard-heavy team, but they've got some bigs, and I'm pretty excited. Now, I'm going to buy, but I'm going to be very timid about what I buy, because when you look at this roster, this is a brand new roster. And when I say brand new, I mean brand spanking new, everybody. Caden Gums and Mark Drone I'm pretty sure they're the only returners. If there's another one, it's someone I'm missing. But you look at the rest of this roster, and these are all guys who just got here, either from the high school ranks, transferring interconference from ULM or Louisiana, they're coming over from JUCO at Jones College. I mean, this is a brand new team. First 8 games, 6-2. Didn't love how they got blown out by Bowling Green. Didn't love the loss to Tulane. But I've liked what I've seen in the 6 wins, and I think those 2 losses, both of their losses were in the first 3 games of the season. So they've played a lot of ball since then. They won 5 in a row since then. It's a brand new team, and so it's going to be hard to judge. And what we've seen with this team is it's very injury prone in the TJ era. And so I start to get excited about a player, and then they get hurt. Like even going into this year, I just mentioned Caden Gums and Mark Drone. I was excited about Mark Drone. I go to that game on Monday, and he's out. He's hurt. I'm like, all right, is it already beginning? That whole thing transpiring? But DJ Hall, true freshman, coming in. DJ Hall is 6'7", about 220, 230. He is a force in the paint. He's pretty exciting. From what I've seen these first chunk of games, he's as exciting a forward I've seen since like probably Monty Gant. We've seen some other guys like Alonzo Sule, who's more like a shot blocker, but Gant, he kind of reminds me of Amani Gant, where it's just he's going to get you some points, but he's also going to be real aggressive in the paint, and he plays bigger than his height because he's got a big stature. So I'm really excited about him. There's the Purnell twins as well. Got to see a lot of number 7 out there. His brother didn't get in there though. The twins, it's fun to watch the Purnells coming over from Mississippi. The twin Kai is apparently the other one who hasn't been playing, is apparently the better one as well. But I don't want to put that on them. They're both pretty good players. There's it's funny. It's such a new team. I've got to look at this I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain. think about them. I'm going to pull up this roster and look at some of these guys. The Purnell twins, Dimp Purnell and Kai Purnell. Tay Knox, that's the other guy I was thinking of. He came off the bench, big tall guy, 6'9". Real excited about him. Where's the guy from ULM that I was just thinking about? Jalen Bolden. Yeah, that game that I saw on Monday with him out there, he looked fantastic. This is a guy who he transferred in. He was averaging 13 points already in the Sun Belt. I really liked what he brought. He could shoot the three. He could drive it to the basket. He broke away on 4 different fast breaks that I saw. One of them, he missed the dunk, the very first one. Then he got the dunk on the second one. And then you could tell he made executive decisions on the next 2 with layups, which I'm fine with. The layup, it's a little more easier. But that being said, it's a lot. It's so many new players. I didn't want to give an assessment until I actually got to see them live and everything. I see them live and I'm like, man, if this team stays healthy, they're really good. I think the one thing that I'm concerned about is who's the guy, who's the scorer. That's something that this program has been looking for since Mason Harrell left. Where's the guy that you give the ball to in the last second when you need a shot, or when you just a time of game where you got to stop the other team from making a run and you need a bucket? Who's the one you're giving it to? I've thought about maybe it could be Mark Drone. We've seen him be injury prone. Man, he's pretty automatic. I know Caden Gums is a returner guy. He's more a facilitator than that guy who's like, okay, go score for us. He can score, but he's more so the facilitator. Maybe it could be a Bolden. Maybe it could be Purnell. Maybe it's DJ Hall. And I'm trying to lump it onto a guard, but Hall's in there in the paint. So I'm buying now. I'm real timid, but I'm buying. They're exciting. They're at least a lot of fun. And they're playing with some heart. Strength of schedule hasn't been the strongest as far as these early games, but I'm still pretty excited about this basketball team, and I'm all in. I'm buying. That's where I'm at. It's probably a little foolish what we've seen the last 3 years, but I remember the first 2 years of TJ, of Terrence Johnson, the head coach here, winning those regular season Sun Belt championships. So I'm holding on hope that he can rekindle some of that and go back to his winning ways. But I appreciate you there, Josh. We miss you in San Marcos, Josh Brenner. Hope you're doing well. This one's from Reagan Derrick at Official Red 3. Do you think with all this shakeup with coaching this offseason that GJ might get hired not as head coach but as a P4 coordinator? No, I don't. I think he wants to be a head coach. I think he has, what's his overall record as a head coach? He's got a winning record. I feel like when guys get relegated back to a coordinator, it's usually after they had a poor performance. But no, I think he wants to be a head coach. I think if someone comes knocking for a head coach job, he might listen to it if it's the right offer and everything. But I don't think he wants to be a coordinator. Here we go. I'll tell you what, Angry River Cat, you're the next one up, but I'm going to hold your question till the last because I prepared a graphic for you. I saw your question. It's all about the streaming deal with the Pac-12. So I have 2 other questions I'll get to, and then we'll wrap it up with Angry River Cats. I appreciated him asking about the TV deal. Made me do a little extra research. I try to be off the cuff with your questions for the most part in these mailbags, but I'll scroll through them, be like, yeah, that's one I should do a little research on. So I did some on the TV deal. This one's from Bobcat Burner at Bobcat Burner. How you doing? Great name. Pretty succinct. Describes exactly who you are. With our staff ties to Eric Morris, do you see any leaving or being poached? Great question. That's a really good question, because it's been a lot of, is GJ going to UNT or anything? Man, Jordan Shoemaker, that one stings. But Jordan Shoemaker, possibly. But I also know that the O-line coach at UNT used to be Morris's OC at Incarnate Word as well. So I imagine he'd want to take him with him to Oklahoma State. So hopefully so. And they stay away from Jordan Shoemaker, who I've said before, best offensive line coach in the Sun Belt. And I truly mean it. I think that guy is good enough to be a P4 offensive line coach if they were looking for one. But yeah, right off the bat, that's one that I would think that if he can't get his guy, I think Krill is the guy's name, at UNT, if he can't get him to come with him, then he might look at Jordan Shoemaker. Maybe Matthew Gregg as well, the corners coach for Texas State. I know the defense has been on tough times. A lot of times it's been on the DBs, but guy's one heck of a recruiter. He's done a really good job of turning around the corners this season. After things were getting bad, real bad for a while, they've been somewhat of a strength the last couple games, and I think a lot of that is due to him as well. I don't think Coach Mike OG the D-line coach has any connections. I hope not, because I think he's done a good job. I know we've been tough on the defense this year, specifically at the top, but it's not all bad. It's not like they need to scorch earth and get rid of a lot of guys. But that being said, Matthew Gregg, what he can do recruiting-wise and what he's done with the corners, maybe they'd consider him. Hopefully not. Leave them all alone. That's a good question, though, because there are ties. Like I brought it up before at the beginning of the questions, the connections between the Incarnate Word connection, then both being up for the Texas State job and all that between Eric Morris and G.J. Kinne. It's pretty interesting stuff. But I appreciate that one, Bobcat Burner. Doing a good job. I feel like we're going to keep this under an hour. That was my goal. I know if you're hearing this on Thursday, on Thanksgiving, you got lots of food you want to eat. You want to get out of here. Unless you're listening while eating. I imagine that's annoying to your family members. Latest recruiting intel surrounding National Signing Day. Yeah, nothing new as far as commits. They did lose 2 commits. I mentioned that on the last pod in passing. I'm glad you brought it up because we can talk about it a little bit more. I know I have my list of commits and decommits. 17 commits, 2 decoms. That's what I put. I like decom, calling him a decom. Both of the decommits were from Louisiana. D lineman Savion Bartholomew. I think that's how you say his name. If he comes to Texas State, I'll learn it, promise. Visited Washington State and then decommitted 5 days later. So what's up? Are we not Pac-12 brothers? Washington State, what are you doing, Cougs? You're going to take this guy? He hasn't committed to Washington State, but when a guy visits and then he decommits, you can kind of tell what's going on. And then wide receiver Jerwan Brock as well out of Covington, Louisiana. I know he has visited Tulane and he has an offer from Tulane. That's kind of a bit more closer to his hometown. So there is that. But otherwise, they have 17 commits. The 2 that I just mentioned that decommitted were 3-star commits. They still have the heavy hitters in their class, Easton Webb, Lakelian Graves, the 4-star out of Kilgore, Xavier Howard. They have some really good players in this class. I'll dive more into this recruiting class. As the season ends here, we'll do a nice recruiting refresher after next week when we're getting close to the first signing day in December, and things are going to start heating up with commitments and decommitments. But great question. I appreciate that. That was from Nate at Nate_P4. Oh, I like it's Pac-12. Well, if it's 4, then it's not Pac-12. Okay, that's tricky. Probably nothing to do with Texas State. Maybe PlayStation 4. I don't know what the P4 is. All right, let's do it. Let's go to the last question. Angry River Cat. From my guy, Angry River Cat. He says, any word on the streaming and or TV deals that are being made for non-football and men's basketball sports for next year? Is there a rumor on what conference will play in the Pac in football or for the 8th game next to football season? Finally, when the Cats win, what bowl do you see them in? So we'll go through it. We'll start off with the first part because I do kind of want to talk about the TV deal as a whole because recently the Pac-12 came to an agreement with the USA Network to somewhat solidify the packaging, at least for football regular season games that we will get to. But his streaming TV deals are being made for non-football and men's basketball sports for next year. So I do know 70% of men's basketball and women's basketball regular season games are accounted for in these streaming, in the deals that they have already struck with CBS Sports, with USA Network, and with CW. It's across these channels. All of them are on either cable or linear TV. So they are going to be access. You don't need to have like a Pac-12 network or how you have to sign up for ESPN Plus to see Texas State. It's nothing extra like that. If you already have cable or YouTube TV or anything, you're already going to have those channels. I know I use YouTube TV. It's going to generate right at the top when you click it on the homepage whenever you're looking for the game. So I am excited about that. As far as for non-football, when you're talking about men's basketball, they have announced 70% is going to be covered, and I have that. Let me see. I know I have these notes right over here talking about that, where they are going to do for basketball. That's going to be on CBS. Men's basketball, the tournament for men's basketball is going to be on USA. The championship game is going to be on CBS. For women's, it'll be on CW. The tournament will be with the championship game on CBS. So it's a little fractured, not fractured, but it's spread around to multiple channels. But if you, like I was saying, well, you'll be able to find them all pretty easily. 70%, I imagine they want to close the gap on the other 30%. They have done 100% of the football games. They haven't announced anything for baseball, which is a little concerning to me. This is definitely a conference that is going to be way more heavily focused on basketball than it is going to be baseball and softball. And that's an area that Texas State has succeeded, but I'm pretty sure there's like 4 teams without a baseball program in the pack. They even had to go out and get DBU as a baseball partner, Dallas Baptist. They're just in the conference as baseball only, which would be a nice, easy travel partner for Texas State. But I am a little concerned about their lack. They're not really focused on baseball, softball nearly as much. They are very much focused on basketball. And if Texas State remained focused on baseball, you could do a lot of damage in that conference. Oregon State has a pretty good baseball program, though, so it's they're going to have to maintain what they do in baseball. Despite that, hopefully it's still on TV and things like that. But I am a little concerned about baseball. But they are, obviously, it's the Pac-12. They're very focused on basketball, and they've got 70% covered so far. Is there a rumor on what conference will play the Pac in football for the 8th game? Yeah, because there's only 8 teams that last week. They're going to have to make a partnership. I haven't heard any. I couldn't tell you. I know things are pretty salty between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West due to all those poaching fees. We have pending litigation, a lawsuit going on right now. I think they're even being deposed not too long ago for that whole deal. So I don't think it'll be the Mountain West. It would have made the most sense, but I don't know if that's what's going to happen. But even with that, before I get to your last part about the bowl game, I'm going to pull this up. If you're watching on YouTube, this is going to be a lot better with a little bit more of a visual exercise talking about the Pac-12 media deal, because I don't feel like I've done an update since they made that deal with the USA Network. So here you go. I've got a nice graphic that just popped up on the YouTube channel. This is from the Pac-12's website. This is right here. You see a list of the games. This is for football and where they're going to be. It's a minimum of 3 games on CBS or Paramount Plus, if you have that one, plus the championship game. The big game will be on CBS. 13 regular season games will be on CW. Another 22 will be on USA, so the majority will be on USA. And then a maximum of 10 regular season games on CBS Sports, which is obviously owned by CBS, but is a different channel that they have. You can see there's a little bit of fine print there. It says Pac-12. It's probably hard for you to read on your screen, but I can see it on this end. Pac-12 enterprises will be utilized across select game broadcasts across all partners, expected to total 45 plus Pac-12 football games. So that's why those figures are the way they are. It's around 48 if you add all those up. Who knows what's going on with the minimum and the maximum on those numbers, but those are the games that they're going to fill in. So with this deal with USA, they're able to get all of their games covered. Their regular season football games will be on TV. They still have to figure out that final week and everything like that. And we don't know the figures yet. I don't know if we will officially know until everybody joins this new revitalized Pac-12 on July 1st. And as soon as Texas State is in, then you can do things like FOIA, their contract with the Pac-12, because right now it's not solidified, it's not finished, so we don't know the numbers yet. We do know that all of the football games are going to be covered on cable or linear TV, which is fantastic for Texas State, because I cannot wait to cancel my ESPN Plus subscription. That's an extra fee that I'm not looking forward to paying. I am looking forward to just pulling it up on YouTube TV and it being that. So there you go, little graphic for you. And then you had one more. What was it? The very last one. Great one to end it with. Finally, when the Cats win Saturday, I like that attitude. I feel the same way. Cats are going to get that dub over the Jaguars, 3 in a row. Leave the Sun Belt on a 3-game winning streak, not just in the regular season, but over South Alabama. That's what I'm looking forward to. But here we go. Finally, when the Cats win Saturday, what bowl would you like to see them in? It's too easy to say it. It's too easy to say the First Responder Bowl. I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to say the New Orleans Bowl. I should have done, I meant to look up, are they still taking a Sun Belt team? I imagine so. We are seeing that there are a lot of teams trying to get to bowl eligible on Saturday. There might be an influx of bowl eligible teams, which means somebody gets left out. We've seen that happen to Texas State before, 2014 and 2013. I think it's different days. There's way more bowl games, and Texas State is way more viable a program to extend an invite to. We've seen them bring fans out to these First Responder Bowls each of the last 2 years, and that matters quite a bit. Attendance, it's a huge factor when handing out these invitations, and whether or not people are going to tune in on TV and actually pay attention to this game. So I think Texas State's in a different place. I will say, sometimes it is conference dependent. And is the Sun Belt Conference, are they going to be salty and try to box the Bobcats out? I don't think so. That's mainly me putting a tinfoil hat on, being conspiratorial. I don't think that'll be the case. But it is something to keep an eye on. Even if they win, you never know. Which one do I think? I think it's going to be the First Responder Bowl in Dallas. I mean, they've loved what they've seen from Texas State the last 2 years. Why not make it a third year? But I'd love to go to New Orleans. Just saying. Love Louisiana. Oh, I love the boot. Always good time. Get some good food. But all right. What a great episode. I hope all of you are enjoying your Thanksgiving. Hope you had fun with this one, whether you're traveling there or listening to it after Thanksgiving. This episode was brought to you by Austin Patchmaster, our dear, dear friends at austin.patchmaster.com. Hole in your wall? Give APM a call. Drywall repair, paint jobs, popcorn removal, and more. Whether you're moving in, moving out, or just looking to upgrade, Austin Patchmaster has you covered. This is their 3rd season sponsoring Win Now or Get Bent, owned and operated by a Tech State grad and true Tech State sicko, Michael Clements. Austin Patchmaster is one of our very, very first sponsors. They got in there before there was even a winning season over the last 8 years for the Bobcats. They got in there before things got cooking again. 200 plus 5-star reviews on Google. Mention Win Now or Get Bent when you hit up my guy Michael Clements, and he'll get you a 10% discount. Check them out, austin.patchmaster.com, 512-3888. That's 512-200-3888. That's 512-200-3888. All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/winnoworgetbent. I've got a different shirt on today. I wanted to show it off. This was a cool shirt I found at Walmart for $10, a goofy Texas State shirt. But we will, the merch site's going to come back with a fury in 2026. We will be back with that. So hang in there for that. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel if you're not. Hit it with a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you're an audio head listening on Apple and Spotify, shout out to you. You're a busy guy. That's the way I like to do it too. You throw in the headphones and away you go. Shout out to you guys. Make sure you give us a subscribe so it downloads right away. Nice comment if you can leave one. That's always great. A rating, whatever you can do. Check us out on Twitter at Win Now or Get Bent. Check us out on Instagram and TikTok at WNOGB. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment on everything. Thank you so much to TGC, BHI hats. Check me out with the state hat on our YouTube channel. And of course, Austin Patchmaster. Shout out to the Wizard, Zachary Webb. Check him out, Wizard Wednesdays. And of course, thank you, you sickos. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for all of you out there for always tuning in. That's what I am. Right up there with my family is what I'm the most thankful for this Thanksgiving. Without you, I'd be shouting into the void. I wouldn't be able to do this thing that I love so much, and that's talk about these cats right here on this podcast. But all right, everybody, happy Thanksgiving once again, and win now or get bent.